Hello, I'm Stuart Childs and you're welcome to the Dairy Edge, the Teagasc Dairy podcast. We're bringing you the latest information, insights and opinion to improve dairy farm performance. Animal health is an important piece of the jigsaw to ensure farmers maximise animal performance. Prevention of disease rather than solely curing problems is an important part of the animal health strategy, and with this in mind I spoke with Michelle McGrath, a vet working with Animal Health Ireland, about a number of funded consults that are available to farmers to help improve the health status of their herds.
So the in-lactation consult we just developed this year as a pilot, so that's why it hasn't been very well heard of. But there is some availability still if you are a farmer with problem with mastitis and cell counts, and it's to encourage a team approach to solving the problem, trying to get your vet, your milking machine technician and your milk quality advisor and your Teagasc advisor involved and working together to try and problem solve, because there's no real quick fix to mastitis. So it's a bigger issue, and it needs some time. So that's what this consult is about. And it's just open to any farmer who has a cell count problem or is worried about it and doesn't know where to start. So we would really encourage any farmer that is in this situation to sign up for this. You can either contact AHI or your milk quality advisor with your co-op. They're all aware of it. So.
Okay, and when you say problem, or we'll say, problem herds, what number are you using there?
I suppose 200,000 is kind of the figure, but if you have a bulk tank SEC of 200,000, you could still be keeping out cows that have a higher SEC. So if you're doing that and your tank is still at 200,000, then you definitely you still are eligible. We don't really want to turn anyone away from this. It's more about trying to get people working together and that there is help there if you have a problem, or if you'd like some people who've done it just want to learn as much as they can about managing mastitis, and that's fair enough too. But I guess it's really targeted at the guys who have a high SEC of over 200 or around the 200 mark.
Okay, so people that are really battling to try and stay in the category of getting bonuses, etc. But it's also still available to people that maybe are just a little bit unhappy maybe with where their cell count level might be, even though they might be still in bonus territory at all stages during the course of the year.
Yeah, but as I say, we don't want to rule out anyone. So if you are over 400 and you'd like to get this help, then go, definitely apply for it. I suppose it just will take, it's just the first step. I guess the consult is free, and we would hope that you'd work with your vet, your advisor, your milk machine technician after. So it's the first step, just to realise that you're not going to solve everything in this consult, but it's definitely a starting point. So.
Okay, so process for applying for that then, as you said, is through either the milk advisor or your vet, or maybe contact Animal Health Ireland as well, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a link, but you kind of have to contact. You have to get it. You have to contact one of those people. Yeah.
Okay, so a number of weeks ago I was speaking to Willie Buckley, obviously, who's on the technical working group for the cell check program in terms of the drying off of cows, and he would have mentioned that Teagasc consult that's available. So. Just to specify, I suppose, or give a few more details in relation to that for people that are tuned in.
Yeah, so that's for farmers who have a bulk tank under 200,000 and are milk recording, have at least 4 milk recordings in the year. It's also open to people with robots because they have a lot of information, but they might necessarily be milk recording. So it's a 3-hour consult with your vet, and they go through the drying off process. They go through your milk records to identify the cows that are suitable for selective, and then they'll review your housing as well. So it's a great opportunity just to spend that time with your vet and planning for the drying off, because as we are all aware, preparation for drying off is key, and the better prepared you are, the more successful it will be.
Yeah, so there's nearly a vet in every practice, I'd say, Michelle, that's trained for that now at this stage, if not all vets. Yeah. So it's probably 3 to 4 hour kind of maybe stint, maybe potentially up to that kind of time, as you said, reviewing the housing, reviewing the actual, maybe the procedure of drying off, etc. Very worthwhile consult having with your vet. And as we said at the outset there, just a preventative step rather than a curative step. So spending the time with the vet now to try and alleviate any concerns or issues that may be cropping up next season when you start into lactation with cows calving down potentially with mastitis and so forth like that. So trying to alleviate those problems.
Yeah, and we try and think of drying off as not the last job of the season, but the first job of next season. So like that, you'd be better prepared for next year. If you have a lot of the infections that occur at the start of lactation are picked up during the dry period or at drying off. So again, trying to avoid those things happening. And this year, especially with the new legislation and selective dry cow treatment on farms, it will require a change in mindset and practice for both the farmers and the vet. So that's that's why we brought this consult in a few years ago, preparing for this. So now it's here. There's still time for farmers to avail of this opportunity.
And what's the deadline for the application for that program then, Michelle?
That's the end of November. So you apply. There's a link on the AHI website or contact your vet. And some of them will have the registration forms, but you apply and the farmer has to apply and they pick the vet that's trained ideally from their practice, and then AHI will follow up with you and you give them your planned starting drying date. So ideally the aim is that your vet will visit you before you start drying off, but you must have it's recommended that you have a milk recording done within a month of drying off, so you have the most up-to-date information available as possible.
So there's a few criteria, I suppose, relative to the other program there, the in-lactation consult, now that you do require people to hit in order to be eligible to apply for it. So a minimum of 4 recordings, one done recently, and also to have a bulk cell count under 200,000 as well.
And that's why the new consult was developed, I guess, to be in parallel to this dry cow consult, or to help farmers that weren't reaching or weren't eligible for the dry cow consult. So that's kind of how the two of them fit together.
Okay, very good. I suppose with the other relevant topic at the moment at this stage of the season, I suppose, while it's relevant to young stock throughout the year, maybe just in particular to cows at the point of drying off, parasite control. I suppose concerns about maybe overuse of the likes of your eprinomectin stuff type products, we'll say, during the course of the lactation, because obviously they have a zero withdrawal in relation to milk. It's an important piece of the jigsaw here to have a sit down with your vet and actually talk through your parasite control regime, because we actually do now have farms that are not treating cows for anything at drying off, apart from, we'll say, obviously sealing them or whatever to dry them off. They're not actually using your fluke doses or worm doses based on information that's saying that they don't require them, and obviously that's an important piece from the point of view of resistance. So that's another option for people to apply for again.
Yeah, there's a new parasite TASA consult this year that a lot of farmers have already signed up for. It's available to beef and dairy and sheep farmers and goat farmers actually as well, in case any are listening. So at the moment there's over 10,000 farmers have signed up for it, but a lot of them haven't completed the consult with the vet yet. So Natasha, who is the program manager for this program, just asked me to remind the farmers to contact their vet to finish the visit and do that fecal egg count, which you're referring to identify if they need a dose before December. Because you probably already have signed up for it, but you just mightn't have the consult done. And so just to finish that off is recommended.
And the testing obviously is part of the consult as well, so you need to get the testing done in order to get the proper results back from the consult.
Yeah, it's fecal egg sampling, so it's not very invasive. So it's just definitely and I suppose in Ireland, with our weather patterns and our housing and grazing patterns, we need a tailored approach to parasite control on farms. So it's very hard to give unless you have a good conversation with your vet, what exactly is needed on each particular farm. So that's where this consult is coming in.
Okay, so there's 3 very timely and relevant consults that are available. As I said, I suppose we didn't say at the outset that the TASA actually stands for Targeted Advisory Service on Animal Health. Just to clarify that, and the funding coming to that is actually part of Rural Development Plan 2014 to 2020. So, and I would imagine that is being continued on, as far as I understand, in the new CAP budget as well. So further funding will be available through that. Now, there's actually a number of other programs involved in as well, that AHI are involved in terms of the Teagasc consults. Again, available through people's vets. I suppose the one that'll be probably most known about, Michelle, is probably the BVD eradication one. Now, it really only becomes an issue for people that actually have BVD positives identified. But just very briefly, maybe you might just explain, if somebody does get a BVD positive, what does that entail? We'll say when the Teagasc consult kicks in there.
Well, I suppose the thing with the BVD program is it's in the final stages, so the rules around it are changing regularly, and rather than me confusing people around it now, I would suggest that you contact your vet about it, because there is a young stock check test pilot underway at the moment. So and that's part of they're evaluating how they could screen BVD once we become free. Just to say, there's only about 260 herds positive in Ireland at the moment, and that's out of a total of 110,000 herds. So it's a very small proportion, but it's important that we get as many of these cleared as we can to become BVD free, and that's where the screening will be important post eradication. So again, if you've had a BVD problem, and because the rules regularly change, I would just suggest contacting your vet about it. There is a Teagasc consult that you're eligible for after you have a positive, but rather than confusing people here, I would just say to contact your vet about that.
Okay, so, and as you said there, hopefully we're getting to the point where we will be able to declare BVD free status, and that obviously will potentially remove the need to continuously tag test, as people will be familiar with. But as you said there, you're trying to put in place a kind of a way of checking that, kind of overseeing it on an ongoing basis, we'll say, I suppose, to maintain that BVD
free status. Yeah, it's a bit like the brucellosis program, the screening that was brought in after that was eradicated. And about this year, the BVD program was recognised at an EU level, so that was an important milestone for the BVD program. So we are nearly there. It's just the final furlong, as they say. Yeah,
very good. I suppose the other one then that's of major relevance, I suppose, in terms of export markets and so forth going forward, probably would be the UNA's control program. So you have a good number of herds signed up to that already, but we could actually probably do with more herds engaging there. And you were saying earlier that DAFM have actually been testing our bulk tanks in the last number of years, and they've started to contact people. So some people may have letters got to notify them that they potentially have UNAs identified in their herds. So this would be the next step for them to follow through on, I would imagine, would it?
Yeah, that was trying to target farms that may have UNAs, and because it's very hard to get rid of UNAs, it's about managing the disease. So you're better off to know if you have it and to join up for this program. The UNA's control program offers support for doing the testing, whether it's through milk or blood. At the moment, there are about 2,000 registered herds in Ireland, and most of those are dairy herds. And it is a very worthwhile program. I suppose the testing can be tricky enough to understand the results, but that's where these consults come in. You have a consult with your vet, and they can go through the results with you. Again, it's kind of, UNAs, I guess, as you probably all know, is picked up when they're as calves, but they don't show the clinical signs until they're mature, over 2 years usually. And it's chronic diarrhea causing wasting, which doesn't respond to any treatment. And it's a terrible disease, really. And if you've had any experience of it, you'll be aware of that. So that's what we're trying to get more people involved in that program. So yeah, you can still sign up for this year, and what the program involves is a whole herd test, either through milk or blood, of every animal over 2 years, and then the vet will also do a risk assessment of your farm. So there's kind of two parts, and Liam Doyle, the new program manager of that, asked me to remind people, if they haven't completed their whole herd test for this year or the risk assessment, to make sure they do that by the end of the year. maybe you need to contact your vet about that, or else if you are interested in joining up, that there's still time to join up this year. There's funding available for the testing part of it. So yep, it's another program that we have, but I suppose there's a lot of programs, so I don't want to but overload people either. But there's a lot of information on our website if any of these are you might be interested in. So,
and it's important as well, I suppose, Michelle, that like when you think back to BVD as well, I think even Aidan Murray definitely in conjunction with one of your own people as well, I think have done a presentation there not so long ago showing the improvement in animal health overall, even with the move towards BVD eradication. And it's one of those kind of diseases that came in and was kind of depressing immunity in animals, and they were inclined to get sick with other stuff. Iones can be a little bit like that maybe as well. So as you said, no harm for farmers to know their position there. Like if you do this whole hair test and you find that you're clear, okay, it's not actually guaranteed that you're clear because you have a one year test to say so. You have to get involved in the program over a number of years, but it's good to know your position, and especially if you actually have Iones, you're better off to know that you do have it. Try to identify the stock that actually have it and try to avoid continuing to breed that within the herd. And as I said, it's the longer term benefits of these programs that it's only when we look back really that we see how advantageous they are at their introduction, while people might see them as cumbersome and maybe awkward to get them into the farming system and to do them and so forth.
And even a lot of people would see that from being in the Iones program in terms of their calf health, because they're implementing better biosecurity around the farm, that their calves are doing much better as a result of this.
Yeah, all very positive there. Yeah. So I suppose you mentioned the brucellosis there earlier, and obviously we managed to eradicate that, but a problem that we can't seem to shake is TB. And it seems to be on the rise in the last number of years. And I, as I was saying to you earlier, we were talking with people from DAFM there the other day in relation to TB, and there's actually a suite of options available to people that a lot of people may not be aware of. And one of those is actually TB biosecurity review. So you might just explain that one finally, please.
Yeah, so this was set up as a pilot about 2 years ago, but it's rolled out. Most of the vets are trained on this now, and I suppose it's just around. I know it's an upsetting time when people get a TB breakdown. So, and the department vet is probably the last vet you want to talk to. So, but there is a lot that can be done in terms of biosecurity. So, DAFM approached us with giving training to vets around the biosecurity that they can do, and because usually vets have a better relationship with the farmers than the department vet, and they are aware of what's going on exactly on the farm. So it's an opportunity for the farmer's own vet to go through, I suppose, again, like a risk assessment of areas on farm that could be improved, from trying to keep wildlife out, or raising water trough levels, or there's a lot of things that can be done to help reduce the risk of it getting in, and so that's what this consult is about. It's open to any farmer who's had a breakdown or a number of reactors, and normally the VI the veterinary inspector from the department will tell you about it, and your own vet will help you sign up first. Then it kind of has to be done quickly enough after the breakdown, just to get the benefit from it. So, and I guess that's sometimes when people don't really want to be thinking about it, but again, as you were saying, long term it will be helpful, and so that's the kind of approach we were taking. If you are in that unfortunate position of having reactors, then definitely it's one to discuss with your vet.
Yeah, so I suppose there can be sometimes a perception maybe that TB is nearly the department's problem in a way, and the point I suppose that they like to make is that there's a lot that farmers can actually do maybe to help alleviate risk or mitigate against risk. Now there's no guarantee, but obviously, and that's what this review is looking at, or this biosecurity review is looking at, kind of ways you can stop in badgers encountering cattle, and cattle encountering badgers, basically to minimise the risk of them actually contracting TB.
Yeah. Especially as they go into housing now, badgers tend to come in in the winter looking for food sources. So it's all about trying to reduce those options for the badger. Apparently, if the badger has been there once and found food, they're more likely to come back. So trying to limit the resources for the badgers is helpful.
Okay, so you said that was a pilot now, Michelle. Is that still in a pilot?
No, it's all the vets have been trained on it. Well, most of them. So it's more than a pilot. I guess it's just, again, goes back to what you said at the start. People aren't aware of it. So and that's probably something that we could work on. But usually when you've had a breakdown, your veterinary inspector from the department will come out and do an assessment first, and then they'll give you the option of doing a further assessment with your vet. So definitely ask about it if you haven't heard about it. But it's open to all the country now.
Okay, very good. So I suppose just to recap, I suppose for people, there's a number of Teagasc funded consults available. In some cases, people are only going to engage with them if there is a disease breakdown. So we'll say the BVD is one case, I suppose, in point, and that TB biosecurity review is probably going to be more targeted towards people that have had breakdowns anyway. But it is an option if somebody is concerned about TB, potentially to talk to their vet about doing that biosecurity review. And again, I remember as a child that the toothpaste ads used to always talk about prevention being better than cure, and that's really the message that we want to try to get across here to people today, is that the opportunity is there to try and eliminate risk around several of these diseases, or to manage some of these diseases. So the BVD and the TB are as I said, generally in the case of a breakdown, or potentially that's when they're going to be offered to people. But the in-lactation, I suppose that is in itself a disease in process kind of scenario. So herds that are over 200,000 can get help there to help reduce that. People that are looking at going on the sealer only type program, we can get help around the cell check program and the dry cow consult, and then the parasite control again with the changes in the legislation around prescribing medicines and so forth. And there's still a bit of clarification required around that, but it's trying to eliminate the use of antibiotics and anthelmintics in unnecessary situations, I suppose, and the help is there for people to get it. And AHI are driving this, I suppose, Michelle, but obviously it's through the actual PVPs, as you call them, private veterinary practitioners, that the services are made available.
Yeah, it is. But I suppose we would like to include all advisors, and a multidisciplinary approach to a lot of these diseases, I think, is important, because vets are only on the farm sometimes. A lot of people are on more often than the vets. So advisors, milk machine technicians, they all have a role to play, and they're giving key messages to farmers as well. So while they're vet-led consults, everyone has an important role to play in them.
Very good, Michelle, that's great. So a nice bit of timely information there, as I said, in relation to the dry cow consult, the in-lactation consult, and the parasite control, and then a nice little review or summary of the other options that are available to people. So if people want to check out more, they can go to the Animal Health Ireland website, which is animalhealthireland.ie. And or else consult with your own vet, obviously. And as you said, Michelle, the milk processors, all the milk advisors are aware of a lot of these programs, especially in relation to the mastitis and dry cow and the ONS. So you can contact your milk advisor also as well.
There's a lot of resources on the AHI website on, from calves to housing to drying off. There's a lot of videos that farmers have made so that you might find useful, that you can relate to. So definitely worth a look there as well, yeah.
Yeah, and actually on the TB, I think the department have a good website there in relation to TB again that people probably aren't aware of as well. So animalhealthireland.ie, and I think if you just Google bovine TB as well, it'll probably bring you to the website for the TB site. So thanks for coming on, Michelle. Appreciate that. We'll talk to you again. Take care.
Thanks, Stuart.
That's all for this week's episode of the Dairy Edge podcast, and my thanks to Michelle McGrath for joining me on this week's show. Don't forget to rate, review and subscribe to the podcast. You can listen on Apple and Google Podcasts as well as Spotify, and for more information go to the Teagasc website at teagasc.ie. I'm Stuart Childs, and join me next time for your Dairy Edge.